Good evening and welcome to today's live session for the subject Strategies for Sustainable Design. Let's wait for a few more minutes, see if other learners join, and then we'll start the session. I see a question from someone who's asking what is WBP simulation. Can you tell me a little bit more what is this in reference to? Payal, can you tell me a little bit more what is this in reference to? Because I can't actually recall uh, that from our lectures which part this question is from.
Yeah, ma'am. This is under different building classification under ECBC and then approaches to meet ECBC compliances. Then it covers like EPI ratio, U value, and software for WBP simulation. So I don't know what is WBP stands for.
Has this been discussed in the lectures?
It has been discussed, but just like information kind of a thing. The software for WBP simulation and what are the softwares are there.
Okay. So
Yes.
I don't actually know for sure what this actually refers to. By searching online, I found that it actually refers to worst case buffering power simulation, and it is used to design electronic circuit and for electronic design automation
Okay.
in integrated circuits. But I don't know in detail what actually this is related to. But obviously, as you mentioned, it is related to ECBC. So, if you want me to find further details on it, I can get back to you in the next session on
Okay,
details on it. But right now, I can't really tell you that what this is referring
okay,
to.
ma'am. Okay, and one more thing I want to know, ma'am. Key for building, what are the simulation we are using while like applied for Griha or something like that?
Application of any of the simulations or what kind of simulation techniques is not in the scope of this study, so unfortunately I can't elaborate on that.
Okay.
But there are some softwares which I know about which can actually help you run simulations on energy efficiency and for climate responsive buildings and other things like that. But for more details on that, you'll have to again wait till the next lecture because I don't have details about that right now. I
Oh,
usually discuss what has been covered in the previous session, and we usually discuss practice questions related to what is being covered and what you might get in your assignments or in your exams. So that is what the structure of these live sessions are. If you want detailed information, I can still get that to you, but because I don't have all of the information, I only refer to the lecture and lecture notes. I can only get that to you in the next session. I hope that's okay.
okay, ma'am. Okay.
So you want to know about all of the whatever simulation and simulation softwares that are related to energy efficiency and other building sustainability.
Yeah, let's being an architect, if we talk about like net zero building, so what kind of process or what 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 are the software that help us to design a building or something like that?
Okay,
That I want to know.
okay. I'll get back to you on this in the next session.
Okay, and now one more thing I want to know that this exam is objective kind of only, no?
I am not sure about that. For that, you have to check in with the course instructor, and to do that, you can ask this question on the forum. So, I am a teaching assistant and I help you with solving the questions that are there in your assignment. So I actually don't help you with the questions that are in this assignment because you're supposed to solve them on your own. But I discuss questions from previous runs so that they are kind of
Okay.
example questions, so you can understand
Mhm.
how the questions are to be solved. If
Okay.
you want information about what kind of exam pattern would be there, the best option for you is to write it in the forum, share your question in the forum, and then the course instructor can answer your question.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, I will do that. Thank you, ma'am.
I think we can start the session for today. So, welcome to week 7, and these are the lectures that have been covered in this week. The first would be on the National Building Code, including the part 11, which is the newly added part on sustainability, and the ECBC, which is the Energy Conservation Building Code, and lecture on guidelines for building design, or green building design, or energy efficient building design, that is GRIA. So let's start with the first question. So the first question is, National Building Code was first published in which year and by whom? And you have several options, of which there are that is either Planning Commission or the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, and the year is either 1970 or 1976. So the 2016 NBC is published by the BIS, or the Bureau of Indian Standards, but the Bureau of Indian Standards only came into being in 2016. So before 2016, BIS was not the publisher of the National Building Code. In fact, the National Building Code was first published in 1970 by the then Planning Commission of India, and although the Planning Commission of India was the publisher, it was actually compiled by over 400 experts in order to prepare the National Building Code. And that National Building Code works as a resource and reference material for the specification for engineering, design, and construction of buildings in India. So again, I think it makes it quite clear that the first NPC that was published in India, it was published in 1970, and it was published by the Planning Commission of India. So I think that is quite clear. Moving on to the next question, which is, what is a mandu as per Indian architecture? And you have four options, which is a crocodile pit with that is surrounding the fort, a rainwater harvested lake surrounding the fort, a lake for fish cultivation, or none of the above. So Mandu in this question basically refers to the city of Mandu or Mandavgarh, which is an ancient city in the present day Dhar district of Madhya Pradesh. And if you see anecdotal evidence of what the word Mandu means, the city was actually either in the 6th century, either uh, was being called a Mandap Durg. So while Durg means fort, and the word Mandu, which is taken from the word Mandap, it means hall or temple. So if you refer directly to that, to the meaning of the word Mandu, comes from Mandapa, which means hall or temple. But I think this question is essentially referring to the city of Mandu itself, and the sustainability aspects of the architecture of Mandu, and that is why the correct answer that this question gives is actually rainwater harvested lake surrounding the fort. But if you really see exactly the meaning of the word Mandu, that is not the correct meaning. But the correct answer to this question is rainwater harvested lake surrounding the fort, and that is referring essentially to the architecture present in the ancient city of Mandu, which is there. So, uh, this is how you can solve this, and I have also linked an article for further reading if you want to read further about how the city of Mandu, or the ancient city of Mandu, was constructed. Uh, Okay. So if you want to read further about how the ancient city of Mandu was constructed, what went into planning the rainwater harvesting ponds around the city, and how it sustainably maintained as a source of water for the city in ancient times, you can go ahead and refer to this article. Okay, so coming back, our next question is what is the new addition to the NBC 2016 amongst the following? And you have four options: approach to sustainability, envelope optimization, materials, or applicability. So the 2016 version of the NBC, which is the latest version, uh, what it added in the new version was a new section which was approach to sustainability, and this was added in order to reflect India's commitment to sustainable development and its push towards addressing environmental concern through an uh, uh, national building code. And this section, which is there in the NBC, it outlines guidelines for environmentally conscious construction practices, and it emphasizes several strategies like energy efficiency, water conservation, waste reduction, eco-friendly materials, and even focuses on practices for architects, engineers, and developers that they can adopt for producing innovative architectural solutions for reducing carbon emissions and improving energy performance of the buildings. So it is quite clear that approach to sustainability is the new section that is different from the earlier versions of the NBC, and that has been added to the NBC 2016, which is the newest version of the National Building Code. Next question is how many volumes and parts does the NBC 2016 have? And this is also quite clear if you go through the NBC. NBC actually has two volumes, volume 1 and volume 2, and these are all the parts. Both the volumes have 6 parts. So in total, the NBC has total 12 parts. So it has two volumes and 12 parts. Moving on to the next question, which is what does EPI stands for? So EPI is basically Energy Performance Index, and it is a tool or a metric which is used for benchmarking energy usage in commercial buildings. So how can you calculate it? You calculate the total energy consumed by a particular building in an entire year, and you divide that energy consumption by the total built up area of the building, and the figure that you get is actually the EPI or the Energy Performance Index of the building. So it is because of this, it is then measured in kilowatt hour per meter square per year, because kilowatt hour is the energy consumption per year, because energy consumption in a year is uh, taken for this metric, and then per meter square because that is calculated uh, per meter square, so for per unit of area of the building. So most commercial buildings in India have an EPI between 200 to 400 kilowatt hour per meter square per year. But if you want a building to be energy conscious, the building should have an EPI. The building should have an EPI between 100 and 150 kilowatt hour per meter square per year. I'm sorry. So if you want a building to be energy conscious, you should manage the energy consumption in the building in such a way that per unit area consumption of energy consumption of the building only comes out between 100 and 150 kilowatt hour per year. Also, the national benchmark for EPI for a building to be ECBC compliant is 180 kilowatt hour per meter square per year. So, if your building is fulfilling this criteria, that your building is only consuming energy which is 180 kilowatt hour per meter square per year, then you can call your building to be ECBC compliant. So I hope this is also clear. So EPI is basically energy performance index, which measures how your building performs in terms of energy efficiency. Moving on to the next question. So the next question is, in the NBC Part 11 and sustainability assessment method, category weightage of 50, which is the highest, which category consists that. So it basically says that in the sustainability assessment method of uh, the NBC Part 11, which is the approach to sustainability, there are several categories and certain weights are assigned to each of the category for sustainability assessment. And the question asks that in the entire sustainability assessment, the highest weightage that is assigned to one particular category is 50, and it is asking which category is that. And you have four options: water, construction management, energy, and pollution. So these are the different categories and the different weights associated with that. With each category. So there are in total 15 categories, and you can see construction management is the category which has weightage of 50 and which is the highest weightage associated among all of the categories in the sustainability assessment method. Moving on to the next question, which is the total evaluation marks for assessment of GRIHA are what? So this is basically GRIHA 2019, which is the latest GRIHA assessment criterias. So you can see there are total 11 criterias and 11 sections, and in each section there are several criteria. For example, in sustainable site planning, you have green infrastructure, low impact design, and design to mitigate urban heat island effect. So similarly, there are total 11 sections and a total of 30 criterias according to each section. So if you see here, you have certain points associated with each criteria, and in total you have 100 plus 5 points for innovation. So you have 105 points uh, in total for evaluation uh, according to the GRIHA assessment. So I hope that is also clear. Moving on to the next question, which is in the latest NBC Volume 1, Part 4 is about what? And you have four options: administration, structural design, fire and life safety, uh, and building materials. So again, coming back to the NBC and seeing the different sections, you can see Part 4 is fire and life safety. So I hope this is clear as well. Moving on to the next question, which is the most recent version of GRIHA. So to check this, you can just visit GRIHA's website. You can see here. So GRIHA had a version in 2015, and the latest version that they have introduced is the one that has been introduced in 2019. So I think this is clear as well. So the latest or the most recent version of GRIHA that can be used for assessment of green rating of your building is the 2019 version. Moving on to the next question, which is which category in the GRIHA tool carries the highest percentage of weightage? And you have several options. You have life cycle costing 15%, water management 16%, energy optimization 21%, and again energy optimization 18%. So you can see here in this list, energy optimization has the maximum number of points, which is 12. But this question is, I think, is taking this whole section, not just the energy optimization criteria, because you only have two options, either 18% or 21%, and you can see here energy optimization is only 12. But if you add uh, all the components of this section, so 12 plus 5 plus 1, that comes out to 18. So that is what the correct answer for this question is. So although it says energy optimization in the answer, I think it is either there is some mistake in the question or in the options, and it is actually referring to the section energy efficiency, not only to the criteria, that is energy optimization. And the maximum number of points in this whole entire section comes out to be 18 points. So I hope that is clear. So that was all the questions for this week. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. Alok is saying that my screen is not visible. Okay, I'm sorry about that, Alok. Which part did you miss? I can repeat that part. You can tell me from which question you missed, and I can repeat from there. Sixth and seventh question. Okay. Is it visible now? I hope it is visible. Okay. So this is the sixth question, which is that in the NBC Part 11, which is for the sustainability assessment method. There is a sustainability assessment method which is outlined in the NBC Part 11, in which there are weights assigned to various categories for sustainability assessment. So there are various categories through which you can assess the sustainability of a building, or if the building is sustainable or not. And for each category there is a certain amount of weightage associated with that particular category. Okay, and the question is asking that the highest amount of weightage that is associated with any category is 50, and which category is that? And you have four options: water, construction management, energy, or pollution. So these are the weights that are given in the NPC. So there are 15 total categories, and for each category these are the weights that have been given. And you can see in this, construction management has the highest weightage, which is 50. So that is the answer for this question. If you want to further read about the sustainability assessment methods, I have also linked an archive link to the NBC volume 2. So if you click through to this link, you will it will take you to an archived PDF of the NBC. So you can go and check that as well. But again, the answer for this question is construction management, which has a weightage of 50, which is the highest in all the categories that that are used in sustainability assessment for buildings. This is the seventh question, which is what is the total evaluation marks for assessment of GRIHA? And this is the evaluation checklist which is there for GRIHA. So you can see there are several sections, in total of 11 sections, and each section there are certain criteria, and in total there are 30 criteria. And if you see in this column, each criteria has a certain amount of points associated with that, and in total you have 100 plus 5 points, so 100 points in total for evaluation for marks for assessment of GRIHA. Okay, so I hope that was clear. Anything else or any other questions if you have?
Ma'am, last question was that the percentage of the share, like highest percentage. That was discussed during the last lecture about the Griha in the percentage slide. Last question. Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Yes.
So, sir has discussed the percentage slide, and then the about the like all the criteria they have measured in the percentage. Yeah.
Okay, so
So,
maybe because of that, I'm not getting the correct answer.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
let me
It
check
was there.
once.
It was there in the first starting in the starting of the lecture.
Okay, but if even if you take out only the percentage of energy optimization, which is 12 out of if you see 100, so the percentage of 12 is 12%, and if you take it out of 105, which is the total point, again it is 11%, isn't it? If you take out the percentages, okay, let me just do this. Okay. Okay. Um, so percentage, if you can calculate, you can just do 100 into 12 uh, divided by 100 or 105 if you see. So again, if you calculate the percentage of what percentage of score this carries, again this is 12%, and if you take it out of the grand total points, that is 105, again this comes out to be somewhere around 11.429.
No, ma'am, but answer is 18%.
I know that. That is what I'm saying. That answer is 18%. Uh, this I showed you as well. But that is not only for energy optimization. That is for the
Okay.
entire energy efficiency section. This is what I was referring to. That if you see the options, in the options it is only energy optimization. That also I said. But if you add the
Okay.
maximum points, 12 plus 5 plus 1, that comes out to be 18. So if you take
Okay.
out the
Okay.
percentage of
Yeah.
18 out of 100, then you get
Madam.
18%. This is
18%.
okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I hope there is no confusion about that. So although it is mentioned energy optimization, I think it refers to the entire section of
Okay.
energy efficiency. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Uh, if you have any other questions, you can go ahead and ask. I can, if you don't have any questions, I can even show you one example of a subjective type questions, which was there in even an earlier run of this question. So these questions which I showed you just now, these are from the 2023 run. So I have another subjective type question which was there in the 2022 run for assignments, and I can show you just as an example of what you can expect maybe maybe for another assignment or maybe in the exam. So this is the subjective question which was there, and it asks you to analyze the score of your residence as per Griha guideline, and it gives you this link for the checklist. So if you go to this link, this is the Griha checklist, and you can see all of the Griha checklists which you can use. So for example, you can see this is the checklist for affordable housing. There is another for buildings which are already existing. This is 2019 green rating checklist, and then older versions for that. Then you even have self-evaluation checklists, and there are separate checklists for day schools. What you would be using for this is the Swagriha self-evaluation checklist, because you are calculating it for residences. So for your own residence, Swagriha, which is a separate evaluation checklist that has been developed by Griha to calculate or to rate your building if it's a small building or a smaller project. Other Griha ratings are actually developed for larger projects, but if you want to calculate for yourself also, you can use this checklist. Similarly, there is a Griha checklist for cities also, which is a larger self-evaluation checklist for entire cities. But this question, because it asks you to check the score for your own residence, which is a small project, you can use this self-evaluation checklist. So if you just click through, the checklist will be downloaded and in a Excel sheet. So I'll just show you. This is what the evaluation tool looks like. So you'll have this uh, I have filled. So this I showed uh, in the previous year's live sessions. I showed how you can fill this checklist. So if you want to go, you can go to that earlier video also, and you can see how I solved this. But basically I want to show you again how it is done. So here, this is the section which is empty when you download the checklist, in which you have to fill your points. And there are again criteria as I showed you, and in each criteria there are sub criteria, or in each section there are sub criteria, and for each criteria you assign certain number of points. So for example, um, this is the example of the residential building which I took for this to solve this exercise. So I took the location in Allahabad, and the site area was 200 square meter, and the building footprint or the ground coverage was 100 square meter, and this paved area was around 25 square meter, all hard paved area, and the entire built up of the building was 200 square meter. So it was a two storied building with a built up of 200 square meter, and the site had 10 mature trees, and all of the 10 had been protected after the construction or during the construction of the building. And then some details about the fenestrations in the building, number of residents, and also the building has an installed capacity of solar water heater or 500 liter. So these are just some assumptions or some specifications that we decided for this residential building, and according to that we filled in this checklist as an exercise. So you can see here, in the first criteria, like you can see it's asking is 50% or more of the paved area is soft or shaded or coated with the finish of SRI greater than 0.5. So SRI is related to surface runoff index. So again, it is asking if it is greater than 0.5 or not. So surface runoff index, for that also there are calculations, and based on uh, the type of material that you are using for paving, you can calculate the surface runoff. For this case, we have only opted for two type of pavings, either it's soft paving or it's hard paved area. So another help which you can get while filling this uh, checklist is you can go to the Griha manuals. So I have also added links to these documents here. So if you go to this link of Griha manuals, you'll get to see a lot of manuals, and this is the Swagriha manual which you'll use because you are using the Swagriha checklist. So if you open this, again you will get guidelines on how to fill the checklist or how you can calculate for each criteria. Okay, so as you can see here, so these are the various criteria, and it has given you the numbers, and then it is for the number of points in each criteria, and for each criteria it tells you in detail how you can evaluate. Okay, so the first criteria, if you can see here, the first criteria, which is reduction of UHIE and maintenance of native vegetation cover on the site, which is the first criteria, and then sub criteria in that. So our first criteria is reducing urban heat island effect and maintaining native vegetation cover on the site. So if you see in the manual, again this is the first criteria, which is reduced exposed hard surface, paved surface on site, and maintain native vegetation. It is phrased a little differently, but essentially the criteria and sub criteria are the same. So you can see for the calculation, uh, uh, this also gives you how you can calculate. So you have to find out the total paved area on your site, which we have already assumed, or in your case you can find out from your drawings, from your measurements, what is the total paved area, or you can just subtract the building footprint and the landscaped area from the total site area. Again, that will give you the total paved area. And also for how you can calculate for compliance with the criteria, which is that the soft paved area and the hard paved area, which is under shade, uh, divided by the total paved area in your site, this percentage should be greater than 50%. So uh, if we go to this question, we saw that our hard paved area was 25 square meter, and our landscaped area is 75. So currently we don't have any soft paved area, and because of that our compliance calculation, which is calculated using the same formula which was mentioned there, it is 0.4, which is not according to or according to our calculation, we won't get any points. But if we mention that in our paved area, uh, uh, sorry, okay, we mentioned that 10 square meter is shaded, and the rest is just hard paved area. But if we mention that among or out of this 25 square meters, we have used different kind of material paving for some of the area, and that now we can consider as soft paved area. Again, our calculation becomes 0.8. Or even if 5 meter square of uh, our paved area, we have used paving material, soft paving material, our calculation becomes 0.6. So we achieve a surface runoff index over 0.5 percent, and as you can see, compliance calculation, that is the surface runoff index, we achieved over 0.5%, 0.6. So we can then get 2 points. Similarly, for each of the criteria, you have certain guidelines in the manual, which you can follow to calculate whether uh, you are fulfilling that particular criteria or not. For example, if you see another one, let's see another one. uh, if there are existing mature trees on the site, which is yes, we have 10 existing mature trees on the site, and all mature trees are in the perimeter. Are they being protected? So that we discussed earlier only, that yes, they are being protected, all of them, so we can give ourselves 1 point. Then the total number of mature trees on site before and after construction are the same. So yes, we didn't destroy any of the trees, or we didn't cut down any of the trees, so we can give 2 more points. So all the new trees being planted on the site are native to the region. So we haven't planted any trees on the site. So for this, we do not get any points. So we get a 0. Okay. So if you want to find out which trees are native to your region, so for that I assume that our site is in Allahabad. And assuming that your site is in Allahabad, you can see which trees are native to your particular area, and then you can decide that if you are deciding to plant new trees, and if you want to gain more points in the evaluation tool, you can decide to plant trees which are native to your area. So for that, you can refer to this these forest maps, and you can identify that in which area or in which natural vegetation area does your city lie, and what kind, according to that you can identify what kind of vegetation your city should have. So you can see Allahabad must be somewhere around here near Lucknow. So you can see uh, the vegetation type is 2A. So okay. So 2A is tropical moist deciduous forest. So you can identify that what kind of uh, vegetation is a part of this tropical moist deciduous forest, and according to that you can identify whether the trees or plants that you're planting are they do they fall in that vegetation type or not. Similarly, uh, you can even find maps for particular areas. So, for example, this is a map for forest types of Central India, Western India, Southern India, Northern India. So, if we see here, okay, you can get details about even smaller cities, or what kind of forests or what kind of natural vegetation that area has. And like you can see here, if you see in the light grays, you get the name of smaller cities and towns also. So you can use these kinds of map and identify what is the local vegetation, and according to that also you can check which kind of vegetation would be suitable for your particular city. Okay. So this is another way in which if you do decide to plant some new trees, you can identify whether they are native to your region or not, and you can then accordingly give yourself points. Okay, so if there are no mature trees, you don't have to do anything. But if there are trees being planted on the site based on the ratio that is prescribed in the manual, again you can get certain points. So if you go to the manual here, you can see if there are existing trees on the site and you are cutting some trees and you are planting some more. So the total number of mature trees on the site before or after construction should be same. So then you get full points. But if that is not happening, you can plant more trees on the site as well. And can't find it here, but there is a formula for that as well. Okay. Okay, so here is the formula, and it says that if the site doesn't have fully grown or mature trees, you can plant trees on the site, and the ratio should be as is mentioned in this table. So if your site is less than or equal to 250 square kilometers or square meters, you can plant two trees. If it is between 250 to 750, you can plant three, and if the site area is greater than 750, you can plant three for 750 plus one tree for every additional 250 square kilometer. So if you follow the checklist and uh, these guidelines from the manual, you can identify for each criteria how you can evaluate and how you can mark points for that. So I'll be sharing this checklist as well with you, and in addition I have done some calculations and added some additional resources which you might like to refer to further go into detail about each criteria and so on. So you can check these. You can even refer to the previous year's video in which I go into detail in about many of these calculations. So you can again refer to that, and if you have any questions about this, you can come back to me with your questions also. So I hope this was helpful. So if you have any further questions about any of these, please.
Ma'am, could you please explain how can we get that map for like forest and all those things, vegetation and all?
Okay, so I have shared a link here. So these are the this is a link uh, for the National Atlas and Thematic from the National Atlas and Thematic Mapping Organization, and they publish maps of forests and vegetations for several geographical areas of India. So for entire India also, and for certain geographical parts like this is for the Central India, Western India, etc. So if you just click on through to that link, it will bring you to this website of the National Atlas and Thematic Mapping, and from here itself you can get details about different kinds of vegetation and other things.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Any other question? Anyone else has any questions? Please go ahead and ask.
I have a questions that any such kind of calculations are may come in the examinations, or it is for practice only.
This question was there in one of the assignments in previous run. So this in this week you don't have this question, but
Mhm.
one subjective question was in previous year's assignment. So in that assignment, yes, you had to do this calculation and submit, but I am not sure if such kind of calculation will come in your examinations or not. So for this, you can ask the course instructor. You can ask if you can get subjective questions or not. I think you asked this question earlier also about subjective questions in the exam. Tanmay, did you ask the course instructor? Did you ask the question in the forum?
No, I am not asked for subjective. I asked a question bank.
Okay. So I think someone in the previous sessions also someone was asking the same question if you'll get subjective questions or you might get subjective questions in the examination. So if anyone finds out, please feel free to share it with other learners also. So you can just tell it here if you have found the answer to that question. If you have been in touch with the course instructor and you have found out whether subjective or objective questions will come, please feel free to share that with us. Or I think you can even go to the forum and you can, I think the forum is open to everyone and you can see the questions that other people are asking as well. So if someone has already asked the question there, that what will be the pattern of the paper and the course instructor has answered, you can go in the forum and see it there as well. Any other questions?
So only for Griha related calculations is there any other certifications for green building? It is also similar, for example, IGBC and all. So that is also follow same things or little bit difference on that?
I can only tell you about the questions that have been there in the previous runs. So
Okay.
I don't have any question bank. So I
Hmm.
can only give you an idea of what are the questions that were in the previous session. So this was one question
Hmm.
which was there in the previous session. So I shared. Apart from this, everything that is shared in the lectures, you can take that as kind of um, as an indication of what kind of assignments or questions you might get. Okay, Seema is asking how recycled material is related to sustainable world. I don't have any books related, but if you remember, we studied about circular economy and uh, what did we call it, circular economy and life cycle thinking. So I referred to you the website of United Nations website for life cycle thinking approach and how life cycle thinking approach can be applied to design. So you can refer to that because that talks in a lot of detail and they have several reports on how different materials are recycled uh, and how that recycling contributes to sustainability. So I don't have reference for any books, but I think these reports are a better reference material if you want to read about recycling and sustainability. Any other questions? Anyone have any other questions? Yes.
Just I have a last question. Can you, in the calculation sheet, that is a built-up area, some landscape area. So maybe some categories are clear understanding should be required for this calculation. So can you explain again for just refreshing the build-up area and other types of area required to go for these calculation sheets? And
You can just overlook these calculation if you are having any problems understanding. The only thing that you need to focus on is that these are the criterias which are mentioned. These are the sub criterias which are mentioned here for each criteria, and for each sub criteria you have certain amounts of point that are associated with that criteria. If you want to know how to calculate whether your built up area or your paved or shaded area uh, lies within that 50% of total paved area should be soft or shaded or not. If you want to know how that is calculated, you can refer to the Griha manuals, the link for which I have shared here. So this is the Swagriha manual which I just showed you, and for each criteria they have given the formula, or they have given the guideline on how you can calculate for each criteria and sub criteria. So if you refer to the criteria and you refer to these guidelines, you will get detailed uh, uh, methodology on how you can calculate for your own building. The calculations that I showed here, that is for a hypothetical building or a hypothetical example of this building which I calculated in previous session. So if you want to see how I calculated for this building, you can refer to another video which I recorded in the previous year. So there are videos from 2023. So from 2023's video of week 7, you can see the example of this residential building. I have solved the question there, and you can, if you want to see that example, you can see that example how I have made these calculations. But the basic thing which you need to know is that for each criteria there are certain points, and if you want to evaluate or how you can evaluate, for that you need to refer the manual. And in the manual uh, you have uh, uh, guidelines and formulas for how calculation for each criteria can be done. So if you just follow these guidelines, you can easily calculate according to your building area and everything, and you can then assign points to your particular building project. If you try to solve one question, or you try to take one example and solve it, and if you have doubts in solving that example, you can uh, ask in the next session, or you can even see this example which I have showed here, and taking this example also you can try to solve, and you have any doubts you can ask in the next session. Okay.
okay, and the previous year's recording sessions also in the that link is available on the
Yes, the link is not available, but if you all the recording sessions in is in my YouTube channel only. So if you go to the channel, even this year's all the recordings and previous year's all the recordings are also there. So you can just find it there. If you want, I can share the link here only. Just give me one moment and I'll share the link.
yeah, please.
Okay, so this is the link to that video. So this is the video from previous year, and you can refer to this link. Okay, any other questions? If anyone has any other questions, please ask. If there are no questions, should we close the meeting for today? So should I close the session for today, or are there still any other questions? Okay. Okay, I think I'll close the session for today then. Seema is asking, are there any research paper? I'm not aware if there is any research paper specifically on the topic that how recycling is related to sustainability. But you can feel free to search that. The best resource which I can suggest to you right now is that itself. Uh, uh, Life cycle thinking and uh, what did I mention again? Life cycle thinking and circular economy. And I had several resources and links related to that, which I mentioned in those sessions. If you just go to those links and refer to those resources about recycling, I think that would be very helpful. So I think there are no further questions for today, and we can close the session. Thank you all for attending today's session, and we'll meet again next Tuesday, 6 to 8 p.m. And I'll try to get back to your question about simulation softwares for building sustainability calculations and other things. And if you still have further questions about Griha rating calculations and other things, you can come to me in the next session. So thank you all for attending, and I'll see you next week.